Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Telos Buzz, your home for all the most exciting Telos news. Today, it's another Friday. We've got an exciting episode coming up here. My name's Thomas, and we've got Evan here. Evan, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great, Thomas. Excited to be here on a Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very cool. We're actually both coming to you from both of us are in London, Ontario right now. So yeah, good times here. But everyone
Yeah,
else
and
watching, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's such a cool way to see where everyone from the Telos community is tuning in from, because people come in from all over the world. So let us know. We love to see it.
yeah, and if you're actually in Ontario, next week, the team's going to be at Decentral in Toronto. Is that what it's called? No, it's
It is Futurist. Futurist.
Futurist. Yeah. Okay, I knew it wasn't. Anyway, so we'll be at Futurist on Tuesday and Wednesday. So if y'all are in the GTA, stop by, say hi. We'd love to see you in person. Um, Shake some hands, hand out some merch.
Exactly. We got Erica here coming in from Seattle. Nice to see you, Erica. Um, yeah, Futurist is going to be really exciting. I hear that Vitalik is going to be there, so that'll be cool. There's lots of other cool talks going on as well, so definitely go and check that out. Let's get started because we have a very, very exciting guest today. Our guest is Daniel Keys from Pomelo, and he's going to tell us all about why public goods are crucial for Web3 and what you can do to support him. Now, during our show today, we're going to be talking about some of the coolest public goods on Pomelo. So if you're building public goods that contribute to the Web3 space, let us know about them in the chat. We'd love to see what you guys are working on. But first, we're going to go through some quick headlines that we'll probably dive into a bit more on Monday. We want to make sure that we get to our guests as quick as we can. Those quick headlines are these. So Mission NFT, first of all, is announcing its top 5 winners today. So that's very exciting. You'll want to stay tuned to find out who took Gooey's pick. It's been awesome to see that contest all wrapped up. Another quick headline is that the Telos chief architect, Douglas Horn, you all know him, he's joined the Cluis team as a strategic advisor. So Cluis was they won the Telos EVM hackathon. They're a very cool AR augmented reality metaverse app. They're doing real cool stuff, and yeah, Douglas is helping them out now. So that's going to be very cool. Let's kick things off. Let's bring in our guest, Daniel, and let's hear all about Pomelo.
Hello, welcome, Daniel. So good to have you with us.
I think I'm muted though.
Oh,
All right,
hey,
I'm
you're yeah.
unmuted now. All right, thanks guys. Yeah, yeah, really happy to be here. Appreciate you guys having me on. And cool to hear that you guys are going to be at the Futures Conference, because I'm going to be there too. So maybe we'll bump into each other and get a chance to meet each other in person.
Oh, that's amazing.
A little fun time at Futures, yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited for that. So yeah, definitely we'll have to meet up.
Of course.
Yeah, let's start with the basics. What are public goods? And how does Pomelo use Quadratic Funding to fund them?
Sure, yeah. So public goods are, in a nutshell, it's something that's free to access for everybody. And by one person accessing it, it doesn't prevent someone else from accessing it. So public goods are those things that people expect to be able to use for free, sort of key infrastructure or education, or the stuff that in the legacy system is typically paid for by taxes, because everybody uses them and nobody wants to pay to use them.
Right.
So that's in a nutshell what a public good is. How it's relevant to Pomelo is a crowdfunding platform specifically for funding public goods within the EOS.io ecosystem. So there's lots of great things being built within the EOS.io ecosystem that are free to use. Everyone uses them every day, but nobody's paying for them. So it's really hard for developers to continue building these things. So Pomelo was a solution for that problem.
Yeah. And Talking about that, it touches on something that I've been reading up on in the public goods. Like when people talk about public goods, they talk a lot about the Freerider Problem, which is exactly what you're talking about there. Is these public goods exist? They're doing really great stuff. They're doing crucial things that people use, but when it comes to finding the funding for it, that's where things get a little bit more dicey. Tell us a little bit more about what the Freerider Problem is and how Pomelo is going about fighting that.
Yeah, so because of the nature of public goods, the fact that everyone expects to be able to use them for free, there's no, business model to continue funding these things. Things like open source software, people like to use it, and why, I can access it for free. Why would I pay for it? And you end up with, lots of people using this thing, free riding, essentially, taking use of it, but not contributing back to the maintenance and development of this thing, which, is not sustainable long term. We saw this in the EOS ecosystem. A lot of people building public goods early on within the EOS ecosystem, no funding available to continue contributing to these things. They stopped getting maintained. Developers left for new opportunities. And as a result, the community suffered because there was no incentive to continue developing and maintaining these essential public goods that really are critical to a thriving ecosystem.
Yeah, that makes me wonder, what was there like a moment, or was that the moment where you decided something had to be done about this? What got you interested in public goods on Web3? And yeah, what was the scene like when you started?
Yeah, well, I was interested in public goods, funding of public goods by the community from the very beginning. Since I got involved in crypto and blockchain over 5 years ago, 2017, 2018. Actually, it was a big part of what attracted me to EOS and the EOS community was kind of this promise of, hey, we're going to have our own independent currency, and we're going to have a pool. There is going to be this savings account, 2% or 4% inflation was the original plan, going to the savings account. And there was going to be a worker proposal system where the community could vote on how they can distribute these funds to build things like public goods. And that was a key thing that really attracted me to EOS specifically. I was, always of the mindset, I'm a very big fan of independence in communities, like rather than having, a centralized elected official forcing people to pay taxes and then taking that money and giving it to the friends to build something that maybe the community doesn't really even want.
Yeah, weapons of
I
mass
always really
destruction. Yeah.
So you got corruption, and the community itself who are paying and using these things have very little say in actually what gets funded and what's getting support. So I was always, very attracted to blockchain, this idea of decentralization, empowering communities to take control of their own destiny and deciding among themselves what are the things we should be funding. And that was, when EOS launched, that was the promise that, from the get-go we would have something like this. It didn't turn out that way, actually. The worker proposal system wasn't built to begin with, so it was up to the community to sort of come up with one on their own, and it never got buy-in from stakeholders. Pomelo was actually our team was actually heavily involved in that. We were involved in building the first worker proposal system on EOS. Again, it was a community collaborative initiative, block producers collaborating together to build the system. And there was, we wanted to achieve a threshold. We needed at least, I think, 15% of token holder or tokens to stake to kind of signal we want this thing, and we weren't able to hit that threshold. So back to the drawing board. We made multiple attempts to kind of come up with a system that we could get the community on board, and Pomelo was really the third attempt. And the key there was quadratic funding. We observed, the Ethereum community has Gitcoin, which is same idea. We were heavily inspired by Gitcoin. They've been running for years now. They just had their 14th season, I believe, 14th or 15th. So we were kind of checking out, what are other communities doing to solve this problem. Gitcoin seemed like they nailed it, and so we decided, hey, let's build something like that for the EOS.io community. And we were able to get kind of buy-in from the rest of the, from the key stakeholders to fund this thing and to put up a matching pool and to keep this thing going. And it's been, and we're in our third season now on Pomelo. We run a season every quarter, and it's amazing to see the impact it's had on the culture in the community. Like, season 1, there was a lot of like trying to figure out, what is a public good even?
Mm-hmm.
How do I pitch a grant that fits within sort of this thing? There was not so much of this open source culture in EOS. But what we're seeing now is, we had a lot of teams kind of working in silos, building their own things, not sharing it with each other. And as a result, we're seeing very slow progress.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now in season 3, after season 2 and season 3, we're seeing, we have this incentive now. Hey, make your stuff open source, collaborate more, and there's funding for you to do that. And people are doing it. And now you see in season 2 and season 3, people taking things someone built in season 1 or season 2, building on top of it. And the progress is amazing. It's like we're seeing exponential improvements in the tools and the culture and all that stuff because these positive externalities that come from public goods where the benefits, you're not just benefiting your users, you're benefiting all the other builders out there to be able to leverage what you're building and improve what they're working on.
Yeah, it's creating those building blocks that like other people can use, can inspire others, instead of having like a project that is closed down and it's just you in control of it. You're opening it up for others to innovate and create on, which is the impacts of that just compound across all other projects, all other developments, which is amazing. Now I want to take things back a little bit and just like ask a question about you said in the first season people were having they were going through like what even is that idea of a public good, and that I think is one of the key things that people like. That was the first question I asked when I went over public goods in Web3. Maybe we could talk through like how often does an everyday crypto user benefit from a public good in ways that they might not realize? Like, what are some of the things that they are using that are public goods that they just may not know about it?
Yeah, I would say every single day, a lot of probably the most used things within the blockchain community. So, if you're using Anchor Wallet,
Mm-hmm.
It's an open source wallet. It's a key kind of piece of infrastructure that enables us and all the developers out there, all the developers who want to build something in Web3, you got to integrate a wallet so that users can leverage it. And all the users need a way to interact with. So every user is using a wallet, and every app developer out there is integrating wallets. And it's all free open source software that's actually a lot of work, a lot of dev hours go into it. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Greymass team and all the work they do.
Mm-hmm.
And the struggle they went through, in the early days of the EOS.io ecosystem. And now with things like Pomelo and other new funding initiatives that have emerged within the EOS ecosystem, they're able to fund that. That's just one example. News, educational content, media. Every time you read a tweet or you got people watching this show right now. Everyone can access this for free, and hopefully they're learning something from it. That's a public good, and it's critical to we're not going to get anyone participating in Pomelo if nobody knows about it and no one understands the opportunity that's there. So things like YouTube videos, articles,
Mm-hmm.
artwork even that anyone can access for free. It kind of help promote culture, memes, Twitter, Twitter influencing, open source code, APIs that anyone can access free. We've got history solutions that everyone leverages that, again, no one wants to pay for them. They just want to be able to access the data on the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
But someone's got to build and maintain and continue developing those things. So that's, Pomelo is one way you can make that sustainable.
And I think this is one of the most fascinating things about opening up that discussion of public goods is it really makes you think about not just the products that are being created, but the people that are creating them and how they're getting the funds to create those things. Like, I remember when I first came into the Telos ecosystem, I could just download Anchor Wallet and use it, and it was fine. I didn't have to think about how it was developed, the struggles that you talked about. I mean, I still have no clue about what they went through, but it was just something. It was there. I could use it, but someone had to build that. Someone had to like find funding to make that happen, and to make that available for everyone to use. That's a very. It just draws attention to all the work that goes into creating the Web3 space and people who are making it happen.
You know,
Yeah,
you were just
absolutely.
touching too on so many of the different kinds of public goods on Web 3.0. And we were just wondering, like, why all these types of goods are important for Web3 growth. I mean, a lot of them I think are kind of obvious, right? Like, for example, education. If people don't know how to use these things, they're not going to use them, and therefore there will be no success. But how are community arts and media organizations, as well as a number of the other things you mentioned, how do they tie into the ultimate success of Web3, or even just, public good in general?
Yeah, I would say, the things like arts and media is similar to educational content. It's another way of different people consume things in different ways and learn things in different ways. And, something we've learned is the power of memes, for example. Like you can get ideas and across in a very few, very dense in a really good meme. Someone may take something away from that they wouldn't have taken the effort to read a long article. Kind of this idea of a picture says 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
So that, in that way, I think art and all that sort of stuff is another way to raise awareness, and just enjoy. It's a culture, I think, is something as a public good in itself. So, creating this more of a thriving culture within the ecosystem makes it more enjoyable to be here.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly there. Culture is a public good. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that we've been really passionate on Telos Culture is about making that culture, like bringing people from the Telos ecosystem into this broader discussion on public goods, on which is especially relevant with the EOSIO Plus Coalition, which is doing incredible work. But one thing too that I want to question on is, so Pomelo is using EOS to fund its projects. Now, how can someone from the Telos ecosystem support public goods on Pomelo? What does the kind of process look like for them to join in, to take part, to support some of the public goods that are supporting EOSIO, EOS, Telos, other projects? What do they have to do?
Sure. So if you just want to help influence where the funding goes, as a donor, all you need is an EOS account with some EOS. So currently, Pomelo only supports EOS, is on the EOS blockchain. You go to pomelo.io, create a Pomelo account. You can sign in with many different social providers we offer, and link your EOS account. Start browsing through all the grants. We've got, I think, last I checked, 145 grants approved for season 3 so far.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's plenty to choose from. And it's pretty seamless experience. Add the ones you like to your cart, go to the checkout, and really, like, 1 EOS is the minimum donation, and that's really all it takes to have a big influence on how much funding that grant actually receives, because the power of quadratic funding really is in the matching pool and the quadratic formula. So the way that quadratic funding works is, it emphasizes the number of unique donors over the size of the donation. So
Yeah, let's talk about how
$101
cool this
donations.
is.
Yeah.
Because it's
So the
huge. It's a
101,
really unique feature. Very cool.
you can get your $1 donation matched like 1,000%. So you donate $1 to a project that gets widespread community support, and it could end up meaning $1,000 actually goes to that project. So you can look at your donations more as votes in the quadratic system on how do we allocate this pool of public funds. The donation is just a mechanism to help protect against things like Sybil, and just make sure you have a little bit of skin in the game when you're allocating your budget. So it's the power really is, don't think of it, I don't have a lot to give. That's okay. Really think of it as you're influencing where this matching allocation goes. So you should be supporting the projects that you really believe are a benefit to the community and that you want to see succeed, that you want to support. A lot of times it's the grant owners themselves who have a community who are telling their community, hey, come support my grant, and the community is usually happy to support them there because they're using these things every day, and they want to continue to be able to using these things, and they want to see that these things improve over time. So there's this culture of, hey, let's help each other out. Just donate a little bit here and there. Pick 10 of your favorite grants, donate 1 EOS to each of them, and you actually are making a big impact.
So what is does the quadratic formula take the total amount raised and then multiply it kind of by a total of how many people voted, or is it about kind of the average raise amount multiplied by? I guess I just wonder, like, how impactful is, say, like one person donating a huge amount compared to a bunch of people donating $1? Like, is that huge amount going to be multiplied massively because of all of those $1?
It is. So we just published, if for those who are more visually or reading inclined, we just today published an article going over the magic of quadratic funding, and we illustrate the power of this. I'll share the example that we shared in this article. So for example, if we got a matching pool of $1,000 and there's 4 grants, and the first grant, all 4 grants received $10 in donations, but the first grant received 10 $1 donations. The second grant received 5 $2 donations. The third grant received 2, a 5, and a 3. And the fourth grant received, again, 5 donations. Grant number 1 that had $10 in funds raised, but they were all $1 donations, they get matched $448 from that $10 in donations. Wow. Grant number 3, which only had 3 people donate to it, still $10. They only got $129 matched. So it's the same. There you go. Perfect. So that kind of is a good illustration. But again, it gets even more amplified the more people you got. So I mentioned I think we shared some actual examples from previous seasons. A Pomelo grant raised $2,668 from 159 contributors, which resulted in the grant receiving. There you go. That's the one. 535% increase. The next one had more contributors, raised $4,000 from 199 contributors. They got matched $49,274. That's 1,000%, a little more than 1,000% increase for the matching fund there.
Wow.
So it's super powerful. Again, it's not how much you donate, but it's more how much the grant gets widespread support, which really impacts the matching allocation. So we believe this is like a really great, it's the optimal way of democratically allocating public funds.
Yeah, I had one question. Just like one of the last things on this. It was a grant raised $199 from 21 contributors and received $253 in matching funds, 27% increase. So that would be $253 on top of the $199, right? So it's a 27% increase on top of the 100% increase.
Yeah, that's so. The way that it works is you receive your donation immediately. So everyone's donating. You get your donation as soon as someone sends it to you. You receive it, and then as the round progresses, we're calculating the matching pool. We're watching for things like Sybil attacks and people breaking the rules. And at the end of the season, we do a full analysis, adjust the matching pool accordingly to our findings, and then you can claim your matching pool.
Wow, this is huge. I mean, those numbers are significant too. I mean, even just 21 contributors can result in, like a not just the match, but a whole 27% more than that, basically 30% or a third. That's big. Quarter, a third, however you want to round it.
Yeah, well, and if you're building public goods like that money can be so essential for making your project happen and creating those things that everyone is using, but not everyone is paying for. So yeah, an amazing opportunity. And if people want to take part, they want you. What would you say to someone to encourage a project to create a public good, to submit to Pomelo, to throw their hat in to get some, to build a public good and get some funding from Pomelo? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say, I think Pomelo is a great opportunity for everybody to get paid to do something that you're passionate about that benefits the whole community. And I would say if that's something that's interesting to you, just try it out. The way that Pomelo works is we do 4 seasons every quarter. Every 3 months, there's a new Pomelo season. And you can submit a grant one season and then come back next season and resubmit it and continue building on it season over season. So I would say treat your first time as an experiment. Just come try it out, see how you like it, see what you're able to do, learn by just going through the exercise. Don't be discouraged if your first season is not the most successful, not as successful as you were hoping for, because oftentimes what we see is that's pretty common for someone's first season. Then they come back to the next season, they raised a little bit of money in their first season. They actually did something with that. They demonstrate to the community, look what I did with the money you gave me last season. They grow a reputation, and then more and more people are willing to donate to them. There's no, if you get funded in Pomelo, there's no like checking did you meet your milestones or anything like that. It's like the community just decides you get the money. If you want to take the money and run and don't deliver anything, you can certainly do that. But again, you're missing out if you really want to play the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Participating in one season and running away with the money is not a solid strategy to really maximize the benefit of Pomelo, because really you're gonna the way you can maximize the funds you raise is by coming back every season, building that reputation. And if you burn that reputation in your first season or your third season, now you're missing out on the potential for future opportunities.
Oh yeah, and actually, I kind of wonder too. Like that sounds a little bit like hinting towards like networking potential and things like that. And that made me think of an additional question, which is just kind of how important is your own community coming into this? Like, is Pomelo going to do a lot of the advertising in a way? Like, are they going to get a lot of eyes on these projects for you, as occasionally happens on whatever that website is, GoFundMe?
Mm-hmm.
And even there, of course, it's a mix of like, people will have to go out on social media and bring their, own funding to these projects in order for them to reach the front page or what have you. I just kind of wonder, for successful projects, is it a lot of outside eyes being brought in? And how many of those eyes kind of wander around the platform and start voting for other things?
Yeah, so I would definitely say having a large community is a big advantage. The bigger your community, the more you can get them to come out and donate to your project, the more successful you're going to be. But part of our goal with Pomelo is to give, the unknown people, and I think Pomelo is the best opportunity for those new people who are perhaps unknown in the ecosystem, who are looking for a way to build that community.
Right.
Like I said, maybe they're not going to be super successful in their first season, but by participating in Pomelo, they start building they start building a community around them. And we do a lot of things to try to help expose, get those more unknown projects more exposure. We do Pomelo pitch sessions every week. So in the EOS community Discord server, actually now we were doing them there last season. Now we're doing them on Twitter Spaces. So every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, there's a Pomelo pitch session on the English Pomelo Twitter account, where we invite anyone, hey, sign up. And if you have a grant that's approved on Pomelo, you get an opportunity to pitch in these pitch sessions. Mm-hmm. And we help market that. We do things like retweet contests, or basically anyone who's approved, tweet your grant, and the Pomelo account will retweet it for you. So we're doing these sort of kind of social media things, and then like I said, just by participating and coming to these pitch sessions and building a little bit of a reputation, we've seen projects, they just tend to build momentum over time, and eventually they have a community and they're less dependent on those functions.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, we'll drop some links in the chat for people to go and check out everything that you mentioned there, from the Twitter to the Discord, everywhere they need to find out more about Pomelo, all the awesome grants that are being built on Pomelo, all the awesome projects, and people will know where to go. And we're coming up on our time here on the Telos Buzz. Daniel, is there anything else that you really want to mention that we should have asked you about? Anything else you want to say before we wrap things up?
I guess another thing I said, like I said, reiterating, give it a shot. Don't worry about not being successful, and there's always ways to, maybe you've got a business, a product that's not a public good, but maybe there is a way to find the public good within what you're doing. So just make sure, the advice I would give is, if you're in one of those situations where I've got something that's maybe not a public good, maybe got an NFT series that people need to buy these NFTs so that it's excludable, so it's not a public good. But maybe I'm building some core, there's something that I need for my own use case that I'm building, that I can maybe make it into an open source general purpose component that other NFT projects can use for their NFT project. And so create a grant for that component rather than for your project. And you can, use your project as an example implementation, but make sure you're focusing your grant on that component that's a public good.
That's a great, that starts the gears turning in my head, I know. And I just wanted to ask too, while we got you here, I think we didn't get around to this one, which is, how can someone from Telos support public goods on Pomelo? Are we able to use our Telos, or do we need to convert those over to EOS?
We did cover that one. That one is it's EOS only, and
EOS only. For now, at least, EOS only. We do have ambitions to expand support in the future. Probably not going to be next season, but that is on the roadmap. We'd love to get, make this more inclusive to the entire EOSIO ecosystem. So for now, yes, you would need to convert your Telos into EOS to participate. As a grant owner, there's someone creating a grant, you have to be willing to accept EOS. So you'll need to have an EOS account and accept EOS, but over time, we're hoping that we can solve that. And we're also, hopefully having other ways to make it easy, like something where we've got things like Pomelo credits is something on our roadmap. Load up your Pomelo account with credits, but with a credit card, and then you don't even need, then you can invite your mom to come donate to your project. She doesn't have to know anything about crypto.
Yeah, that'd be hugely inclusive. And thanks so much for joining us today, Daniel. We're also really excited to see you next week at what's
Futurist.
Futurist in Toronto. We're so excited to see you there, and anyone else who can make it. And thank you, Thomas, for co-hosting with me. This has been great. I learned a lot about Pomelo, and
it's awesome to have you here. And guys, if you really like if you like what we're doing here on Pomelo, or Pomelo on Telos Culture, and Daniel, you're part of EOS Nation, which is a block producer on Telos as well. So guys, make sure you go out, and if you're looking to refresh your beefy votes, consider adding those ones into the mix. It's been an awesome Friday show of the Telos Buzz. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. We will see you back here on the Telos Buzz on Monday for some more news recaps. And Pomelo applications are due on that Monday as well. So, if this has lit a fire into you, go and submit. And if not, the next season is just it's only a short time until then. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us, and have a great rest of your day, guys.
Thanks, guys.